and welcome to Homestead Miami Speedway. And here we are for the VSCRA VSCRA series finale at Homestead. We have 3 drivers competing in the championship here tonight. 134 laps here in Miami. Should be a good one. We have JD Laird, Elliott Henderson, and Aaron Hale competing for the championship this evening. Pace car leading them around for a pace lap, and we're gonna get going here in Miami. On the pole, you have JD Laird, Daniel Buttafuoco. On Elliott Henderson down low and Aaron Hale up high. Alexander Russell in row 3 with Eric Kep. Matt Daniels, my bad. And the green flag is out, and JD Laird gets a huge start. Gets going quick. Elliott Henderson right behind him, and then Daniel Buttafuoco in third. And then here comes Aaron Hale in fourth. Everyone singles out for the most part here on lap number 1. Elliott Henderson going for a championship here today. So let's go, Elliott. Thanks for watching the stream. JD Laird, Elliott Henderson. 1-2 going for the championship, and then the third member of that championship race is currently in 4th place. And that is Aaron Hale. And then 3rd place, you have Daniel Buttafuoco, big time NASCAR heat driver. I think he's been on the service for around a month now. Already getting really good here on the iRacing service. Already to over 3,000 iRating. Impressive start to his iRacing career there in the 13. A little bit of a battle possibly for 5th back there. Alexander Russell and Eric Kep getting a little close back there. Some snazzy looking cars right there. The 57 and the 63. A lot of pink on those cars. I like the roof numbers on the 57 over here of Alexander Russell. Continue with the race as JD Laird still leads the field in that number 23 Chevrolet Camaro. Elliott Henderson has fallen a couple of car lengths back, and Daniel Buttafuoco is beginning to catch up to him pretty quickly, as he's going to be breathing down his neck as we're coming on to the next lap. As we're about to start lap number 5. Probably next time around, he's going to be right on his bumper at this pace. And the way the championship works here for VSCRA, or VSCRA, the highest finisher in this final race will be the champion. So points don't really matter at this point. Just whoever finishes in the highest spot. And right now, if the race would end right now, the series champion will be JD Laird in that number 23 machine. Daniel Buttafuoco almost got into the wall off 4. Real high exit there for the 13. As he's trailing Elliott Henderson by around half a second. Each of these top 4 guys are separated by about the same amount. Aaron Hale not too far back of the 3rd place driver of Daniel Buttafuoco. 57 of Alexander Russell has put a little bit of distance between himself and Eric Kep. And Matt Daniels has fallen a little farther back, around a second back of Eric Kep. And that rounds out your field here for the VSCRA season finale. And it sounded like in the drivers' meeting, this is possibly the series finale as well. So we could possibly be saying goodbye to VSCRA. Very strong running league at one point with a lot of great drivers like Ryan Vargas and many other drivers racing and participating into the series. So going to be sad to see the series go. we will continue our coverage of Great Lakes racing on Tuesdays and Thursdays here on Split Second Broadcasting. JD Laird still heading the field, around 6, 7 car lengths in front of Elliott Henderson. And everyone's beginning to separate just a little bit more. No battles really on the track. Just gonna try to maybe send it out for a quick crank it up as I try to maybe get some information for you on the fuel strategy and the pit strategy for today's race. Welcome back here to Homestead Miami Speedway. There's beginning to be a battle heating up for 6th place, it looks like, between Eric Kep and Matt Daniels. Matt Daniels was getting to its bumper right there, right when we were coming back from that little break. Matt Daniels got into the wall a little bit coming out of turn 4. Hopefully the car is okay. He's lost a little time to Kep, but Eric Kep looks to have really possibly used up those tires early in this race, or possibly trying to save some gas or tires. Matt Daniels has been driving him down hard these last few laps. That number 5, Good Wrench Machine, driving down Eric Kep, known for driving his pink cars. He's Been hanging around 6th all day so far. Around 15 laps into this thing. 115 laps to go roughly here in Homestead. Matt Daniels threatening Eric Kep here in turns 3 and 4. He's going to jump to his inside. Kep all the way up near the wall. Matt Daniels going to try to clear him coming off the turn. Kep's going to get a run. Matt Daniels not quite able to clear him as Kep stays at his quarter panel. Eric Kep from that 63 Supra drives it hard in the corner, and he's in the wall. Good save from the 63, and Matt Daniels is going to complete the pass and move into 6th place. These guys are around a straightaway back of 5th place, Alexander Russell, and then in front of him you have Aaron Hale, and then Daniel Buttafuoco is putting the pressure on Elliot Henderson as he is closed up around a couple of car lengths. He's only a car length and a half back now of the number 37 of Elliot Henderson. Elliot Henderson, a championship contender. And then Daniel Buttafuoco, a NASCAR Heat star, trying to make a name for himself here on the iRacing service. Closing in less than a car length now of the 37 in that Kligerman Sport Chevrolet. Buttafuoco peaking low off the corner. And he's less than a car length coming across the line. Elliot keeping that car length distance between him and Daniel right now. Daniel hasn't been able to find an opening yet. These guys are around 2 seconds behind our race leader, JD Laird, who's loving this right now. Elliot Henderson still holding that half a car length lead on the number 13 of Daniel Buttafuoco coming across the line again. Elliot looks low, and Buttafuoco is going to try the high side this time around, see if he can find some speed. He gets real loose sideways off of 2. And he loses a couple car lengths to the 37. Daniel trying something a little new in 1 and 2, and it costs him a lot of time. He's going to have to try to get some of that time back from the 37. Elliot Henderson putting a little bit of distance between him and Daniel. Daniel might be hurt tires a little bit on that slide he had in 1 and 2. And these guys are pulling, and these guys are still losing time to JD Laird as he was only 2 seconds ahead a couple laps ago. Now they're 3 seconds back of JD Laird. JD Laird is just piling it on. But we will be getting a competition caution around lap 35. And Elliot Henderson really blew 3 and 4 right there. And Daniel really drove up on him. And now he's on his inside coming across the line. And he might clear him coming into turn 1, and he will. I don't know what happened to Elliot there in turns 3 and 4, but he lost a lot of time. Car looks like he might have gotten a little tight in the middle of the corner off. And now these guys are around 4 seconds back of JD Laird. Daniel now in 2nd place. Let's see if he can drive down our race leader in the 23. Daniel Buttafuoco, all he cares about is the win. So he might get aggressive with JD. JD looking for the championship here tonight. All he needs to do is finish in front of Elliot and Aaron. So we can let Daniel on by if Daniel ends up driving him down. I'm going to definitely be looking at the times this next time around to see what their laps are looking like now that Daniel's clear of Elliott and in clean air. No close battles really on the racetrack right now, as Eric Kep has put a lot of distance between him and Matt Daniels as he got past them as we had that battle between Daniel Buttafuoco and Elliot Henderson. He's driven out a couple of seconds ahead of Matt Daniels. Alexander Russell still in 5th. Aaron Hale in 4th. And then you have your top 3. Daniel ended up running a little slower of a lap time than JD last time. running a 35.6 as JD is still running pretty good lap times at a 35.3, and then Elliott at a 35.7. This time by a 35.7 for both Daniel and Elliott, and JD is still running a 35.3, almost a 35.4. A lot of speed still in that number 23 machine. As we are approaching this competition caution here in a few laps, as the sun is going down here at Homestead Miami Speedway. Wondering if the glare might be messing with these drivers. Matt Daniels has driven up on Eric Kepf a little bit again. These guys just keep on getting close to each other. They keep on separating, coming back together. The number 5 and the 63, as Matt Daniels is only 2 or 3 car lengths back now of the 63 machine. Alexander Russell coming down the back stretch in the number 57. Aaron Hale, no one around him as well. Elliott Henderson is still keeping that gap between him and Daniel. Hasn't really lost any time to Daniel. But both these guys are losing a lot of time to JD Laird, as JD Laird's putting 3/10 a lap on these guys. This last time by, though, JD Laird only around a 10th quicker than Elliott Henderson. And actually, Daniel Buttafuoco ran a little quicker that last time by. Maybe JD's tires are finally beginning to fall off in that 23. He's been running really quick lap times compared to the field. Elliott Henderson keeping that 3 car length gap between him and Daniel, keeping the pressure on the 13. JD Laird running 35.6 that last time by, almost 3/10 quicker than second and third place. Everyone's running pretty similar lap times right now. Guys in the back, Eric Kepf is still getting trailed by Matt Daniels. Matt Daniels still cutting away at that gap a little bit. Henderson looking to try to get back to Daniel Buttafuoco on that number 13 machine. You can see him in his windshield. You can see him right there in front of him. Daniel put around 3/10 on him that last lap. Daniel's tires might have had something a little left. He's been running in the 35.7s for around the last 10 laps. JD Laird's tires have been falling off a little bit more as he's dropped back to a 35.6 on a consistent basis. Only a couple laps away from that competition caution. Wondering if we're going to see everybody take all 4 tires on this caution flag, and how everybody's fuel will be looking. JD Laird has around a 5-second lead on second place, Daniel Buttafuoco. Daniel is around a second ahead of third place, Elliott Henderson. And around 2 seconds back of him is Aaron Hale, our third championship contender, in the number 33 Mobile 1 machine. And back 3 seconds of him, you have Alexander Russell in the 57. Then almost a straightaway back of him, you have Eric Kepf in the 63. And then not too far behind him, you have Matt Daniels in the number 5, and that rounds out your field. The 3 championship contenders once again are in first, third, and fourth, with JD Laird in first, Elliott Henderson in third, and Aaron Hale in fourth. Highest finisher is your champion. Daniels begin to put a little bit more distance between him and Elliott Henderson. He has almost a second and a half on our championship contender, Elliott Henderson, in the number 37. Turn 4, about to start lap 34. About to hit that competition caution. We're going to gang these guys back up and see what happens on pit road, because everyone's going to come in and make pit stops. Expect everyone to take 4 tires. And there's the yellow flag for the competition caution. JD Laird is your leader at the moment of caution, and he's led your whole race so far. Looking very strong in that 23. Looks strong on the short run and looks strong on the long run. Drove away from these guys and then still had some tires just to inch away a little bit more at the end of the run before the caution flag. When these guys are going to get ready for pit stops, and we're going to toss it to a quick break and come back either during pit stops or right after the pit stops, right before the green flag. and welcome back here to Homestead, Miami. And we have a little bit of drama on pit road as the number 13 of Daniel Budafuco was able to beat out our race leader, JD Laird, and now is your race leader as we're about to get the green flag. Also, it looked like maybe Eric Kepf had missed pit road, came back down to pit road later. But Daniel is going to be your race leader coming to the green flag as the pace car is about to pull off. JD Laird to his outside. Elliot Henderson right behind him in the 37. And here they go in their green flag. And Daniel's going to try to clear him coming into turn 1. And he will. JD Laird going to stay on the high side. And he's going to continue that run. And he's going to get next to Daniel coming off the corner. He's going to get a run off the corner, and Elliot Henderson is going to force a 3 wide on the backstretch. Elliot Henderson going to go for the championship lead and the lead in the race. Jumps to second place on Daniel. Elliot Henderson on the inside of JD Laird. He's going to try to clear him off turn 4. What a move. Henderson, race leader and championship leader at the moment here on lap 40 here at Homestead. An insane, great move from the 37, forcing it 3 wide and then clearing JD and blocking him off the corner. Great move from the 37. JD Laird now right on his bumper, and Daniel right behind him, and our third championship contender, don't count him out, the number 33 of Aaron Hale. And in 5th place, we have Alexander Russell in the number 57. Eric Kepf back there in 6th. Then Matt Daniels in 7th, and that rounds out your field. Elliot Henderson getting a little bit of pressure from JD Laird. JD Laird's been the dominant car all day, and that number 23 is looking to take the lead back from the 37. These guys battling for a race win and a championship here today. Daniel watching them from behind, looking to play spoiler, the NASCAR Heat superstar. Elliot Henderson coming through turns 1 and 2 in the number 37. JD Laird still around a car length and a half back. Daniel around 3 or 4 car lengths back of the 23. And Aaron Hale beginning to get some pressure from the 57, Alexander Russell. Alexander Russell looking to take the 4th position away. Eric Kepf begin to drive back on these guys, begin to make a little bit of a comeback, driving a little bit of a higher lane on the racetrack, looking to be working out for him back there in the number 63. That Matt Daniels all the way up near the wall in 1 and 2, but is beginning to lose a lot of time to these guys. JD Laird beginning to close a little bit on Elliot Henderson as that lead is shrunk to around a half a car length to a car length back now of the race leader of Elliot Henderson. Yeah, Elliot's doing really good out there right now. He's out there in that clean air. Got the number 23 right behind him. JD Laird's looked like the dominant car all day, but we haven't really seen him behind somebody in that dirty air all day. He hasn't really been able to make a move on Elliot yet. They're kind of staying around 2 to 1 car length back behind our race leader this whole time. Daniel began to come on that long run at number 13. He's just chilling back there in 3rd. Maybe looking for this run to go a little longer so he can drive back on our race leaders. Here comes JD. JD around a car length and a half back. He just needs to find some clean air. That low line looks to be the dominant line around the racetrack. Just needs to find some clean air. He gets a good draft down the back stretch. He really closes into Elliott's bumper coming into turns 3 and 4. Yeah, apologies for the bot. Out there deleting messages. Elliott Henderson, our length and a half back. JD Laird just can't quite close in on him. Able to get a big run down the back stretch. Still around a car length and a half back as Daniels beginning to close in on these guys. Daniel looking very strong in the number 13 Camaro. No sponsors, but got the JDR graphics logo. See it right there in the back. No other sponsors on this car for some reason. Daniel's driving these guys down though in that number 13. He's around a half a second back of these guys. He's just driving in a little closer and closer as JD Laird looks to be searching for some clean air there up on the high side, trying to find a way around Elliott Henderson and end up back in the lead where he's been most of this race. Elliott Henderson leading the field coming down the backstretch. JD Laird right behind him, and Daniel's still around a half second back of these guys. Aaron Hale is around a second back of him in fourth. Alexander Russell has fallen way back of Aaron Hale after putting a lot of pressure on him earlier. He's around a second and a half back of Aaron Hale, and a couple car lengths back of him is Eric Koepp. And then almost a half a straightaway back is Matt Daniels, who seems to be really struggling on this run. And then number 5 machine. JD Laird continuing to put the pressure on Elliott Henderson, trying to find some clean air to get to that nose, but just can't quite get to his bumper in that number 37. Elliott Henderson leading, JD coming into turns 1. JD seems to close a lot on the entry of some of these corners, but Elliott gets off these corners so well and is able to gap him a little bit off the corner. And then by the time they get down into the corner, JD closes in from the draft and drives it in. It's kind of like a vicious cycle. JD keeping around that same distance. Wondering how all this is affecting these tires. Whose tires are going to be stronger at the end of this? JD Laird, but keeping the pressure on the number 37. Daniel closing in just a little bit. He's around 4/10 back of these guys now instead of the half a second. Henderson gapping JD just a little bit. A little bit more distance between themselves as Daniel begins to close in on JD. Like I said, on that last run, Daniel looked the strongest when they were getting on that longer run. And they're approaching 20 laps on this run. That last run went 33 laps and the competition caution came out. So maybe when we get to that 30 lap mark, I can really see this number 13 really hitting the NOS, hitting the jets, hitting the turbo, whatever way you want to put it. Daniel looks really strong on the long runs. Elliot Henderson continues to gap JD Laird as he's now almost a half a second in front of his championship competitor, as I should say. I'm gonna toss it out for a very quick crank it up as these guys keep their gaps. And we're back here in Homestead from that quick crank it up session. As you saw on the screen, Elliot Henderson continues to gap JD Laird as he's almost now a second in front of the number 23. And Daniel Buttafuoco has fallen back a little bit more as well, as he's around 2 seconds back of our race leader, Elliot Henderson, around a second back of JD Laird. And it looked like also that Eric Kep and Matt Daniels had a battle possibly under the brake. Eric Kep fallen back to 7th, and Matt Daniels has gotten past him and has put a little bit of distance between himself and the number 63 machine. Alexander Russell and Aaron Hale, no one really near either of them. Aaron Hale around a second and a half ahead of the number 57 machine. Yeah, Matt Daniels continues to gap that number 63 of Eric Kep. No No real battles on the track as Elliott Henderson continues to gap JD. JD are 0.8 seconds back. And Daniel around 2 seconds back of Elliott. And checks the speeds at the line to see what speeds these guys are running. I got Elliott with a 35.5, JD with a 35.4, Daniel with a 35.8, and Aaron Hale with the 35.7. JD Laird running around a 10th quicker than our race leader, Elliott Henderson, right now. See if he can chip away at that lead as we're on lap number 64 of 134, approaching that halfway mark here in the series finale of VSCRA. Your 3 championship contenders are currently in first, second, and fourth. Elliott Henderson, if the race would end right now, Elliott Henderson would be your champion in the number 37 as he leads the race. And then right behind him in second place is JD Laird, and then back and forth in the number 33 Mobile One machine is Aaron Hale, your 3rd championship contender, who really tends to come on late in these races, I've noticed. So I wouldn't count him out yet. And then Daniel looking to play spoiler and get a victory here in the VSCRA in the series finale. Looks really strong on those longer runs, as I was saying earlier. And JD Laird continues to chip away at this lead as he's around a half a second back now of our race leader, Elliott Henderson. As he ran around a 10th quicker that last time by. He's chipping away at around a 10th a lap these last few laps. Daniel has lost around a half a second these last few laps to our race leaders. So we're on board with JD Laird in second place, as you can look at him cutting that lead of Elliott Henderson as he looks to take the lead back, as he was so dominant on that first run. JD Laird looking to take the lead back as he's around 4/10ths back of our race leader now, Elliott Henderson. He has a taste of that draft. On these straightaways, he can really drive down into those corners with a lot of speed, which I've noticed JD Laird loves to do. He likes to drive it in a little harder, and Elliott Henderson likes to roll through the corner a little more and drive hard on exit. JD continues to just chip away at the race lead. Coming down the backstretch, a little less than a half a second back of our race leader. Daniel continues to fall back farther from these guys as he's around 3 seconds back now of our race leader, Elliott Henderson. And speeds at the line once again. JD Laird a 10th quicker than Elliott Henderson. He's really chipping away at that race lead. And Daniel's around a half a second slower than these guys, and the same thing with Aaron Hale. These guys are in their own zip code right now. The number 37 and the 23 owning this race. As we're on lap number 69 of 134. Just past the halfway mark here in Homestead, here in the championship race, in the series finale of VSCRA. Elliott Henderson in the Kligerman Sports Chevrolet leading the field. It'd be fitting for him right here on E-Racer prelim night for the Firecracker 400 for the Kligerman Sport vehicle to get the job done here in the championship. Be very fitting for him. But JD Laird continues to cut away at that lead as he's around 2 car lengths back now of a race leader, and he really drove it in there hard in 3 and 4. And he's going to be right on his bumper almost coming out of turn 4. Elliott Henderson gets a huge run off the corner. He's able to gap him a little bit. JD just continues to cut at that lead. We're going to have a battle among us very soon. These guys are by far the quickest drivers on the track, as Aaron Hale and Daniel Buttafuoco are both running half a second plus slower laps than these guys. And JD peeking down low off the corner But Elliot Henderson once again gonna get a good run off the corner and gap him a little bit. JD's really getting into these corners hard, putting the pressure on the number 37, who's led basically this whole run after a fantastic move at the beginning of this run, forcing it 3 wide on Daniel Buttafuoco and JD Laird to take the race lead. He's held the lead ever since. JD continues to put the pressure on as he inches a little bit closer to the 37 and peaks low on exit once again on turn 4. Able to keep toe a little bit better on the exit that time around, as he's right on his bumper coming into turn 1. Peaks his nose a little bit high, a little bit of a higher lane through the corner, and a lot lower of an exit from the 23 as he is going to get a run off the corner, but not enough to jump underneath 37. And 3 and 4 is where he's looked the strongest to me all day. But Elliot Henderson able to gap him on entry a little bit. The 23 looking to get a good exit, trying that low exit once again to try to jump underneath 37 on the straightaway. Henderson looks strong out there in the lead. This clean air makes a huge difference. JD putting a lot of pressure on this number 37. We're getting really deep into this run. Daniel's around 4 seconds back of these guys, and Aaron Hale is 7 seconds back of these guys, so no one's near him. This is the closest battle we have on the racetrack. I would like to note that Alexander Russell is closing down on Aaron Hale a little bit, as he's around a half a second back now of our 3rd championship contender. With the number 23, 2 car lengths back coming off of turn 2. That dirty air is really messing with that 23, as soon as he got to him, he really slowed down his pace. He's running a 1/10 of a lap quicker, and now they're running the same pace about every lap, but these guys are still way quicker than the field. Check the times at the line. And JD running a little less than a 1/10 quicker than Elliott that time by, as Eric Kep in the number 63 pulls down pit road, and this might be the beginning of pit stops. The number 63 Supra is on pit road as the leaders pass by him. JD is just continuing to put this pressure on the 37, wondering how much longer we can go, how much longer these guys can go on these tires and fuel. JD, this might be JD's best chance right here to take the lead, as he's going to get underneath them in turns 1 and 2. And he gets a good run through the middle, and he might be able to clear him off exit. And JD cuts up in front of him, and he has the race lead. JD Laird is back in the race lead. New leader, 23. New championship leader as well. JD Laird looking to get himself a championship, as he's probably been the most consistent driver all season, but it took him almost the whole season just to win a race. But he's looking strong here today in Homestead. See if maybe he can put a little bit of a gap on that 37. Alexander Russell continues to close in on that number 33, I'd like to note. Eric Kep just coming off pit road. Not sure what might be wrong with that 63. Maybe a speeding penalty, or maybe has some damage or something along those lines. Back in the 7th position. Disappointing to see him now a couple laps down, that number 63. The number 33 continues to get pressure from that number 57. Alexander Russell still driving him down, as you saw there on the camera. And the number 23 of JD Laird putting a bit of a gap between him and Elliot Henderson, as he's now around a half a second up on his championship competitor, the number 37 Elliot Henderson, in that Kligerman Sport Machine. And out there in the distance, you see Daniel Buttafuoco in that unsponsored number 13. He's around 4 seconds back of JD Laird. He's kept that distance for the last couple of laps after dramatically falling from around 2 seconds back of the race leader to 4. He's kept that around that 4-second distance between himself and the race leader. Eric Kep with them fresh tires is going to go flying around Elliott Henderson on the high side here. Tires really make a huge difference, especially at a track like Homestead where your tires just fall off so much. These guys right now, the race leaders, are running 2 whole seconds slower. 2 whole seconds slower than their quickest lap of the day. So them tires are going to make a huge difference. So when you see one of these race leaders come on pit road, they're all going to come on pit road. Because they're going to be making up 2 seconds a lap. It's like a game of chess right now with pit road. Who will be the first to come down? Seems like to me that these guys are trying to stay out to the point where they're only going to make one more stop. As they're on lap 81. These guys haven't pit since lap 36. Been almost 50 laps since they've been down pit road, and we have almost 50 laps in the race. So I'm guessing that these guys are trying to make it to that point where they can make it to the end. Question is, do you try to go for the early pit and get them 4 tires at the beginning of the run? Or do you wait until the end of the run and get them 4 tires and just go flying past the field and just hope that you get there in time? Strategy is going to be key on who wins this race and who wins the championship, as our 2 biggest contenders are JD Laird and Elliott Henderson. But then I definitely would not count out Daniel Buttafuoco with a lot of, he might not have the iRacing experience, but he has a lot of racing experience. So he has a lot of knowledge. I would not be surprised if he pulls a strategy to get himself in victory lane. And then, like I said earlier, Aaron Hale always seems to be there at the end of these things. He seems to be the Kevin Harvick of VSCRA, the closer almost. Very strong at the end of these races, so I would not count him out at all. As we have 50 laps to, as we're approaching 50 laps to go, here in Homestead, JD Laird has around a second gap between himself and Elliott Henderson. Daniel Buttafuoco has fallen around 4.5 seconds now back of JD Laird. Aaron Hale has put a couple more car lengths between himself and Aaron Russell. Not Aaron Russell, Alexander Russell. That pressure isn't quite there as much anymore. Fairly calm right now as we wait to see when these guys will make that final pit stop of the day. JD Laird still running around 1/10 of a lap quicker than second place Elliott Henderson, and then JD Laird's around 0.2 quicker than Daniel Buttafuoco, and everyone else is around 0.5 second slower than our race leader. JD Laird has around a second lead on Elliott Henderson. Coming down the front stretch. We're on lap number 86 now of 134. You'd think now they're in their fuel window, as it's been around 50 laps. It's been 50 laps since they came down pit road, and there's 50 laps in the race. So I would think that now, if they made that pit stop, they can make it the rest of the way. Wondering if we're going to see any of those early pitters decide to take those 4 tires right now. So they take those 4 tires right now, they're going to be running 36-second lap times at the end of this run. So some of these drivers might be trying to go as far into this run as possible. And we have our first taker on pit road. Matt Daniels comes down pit road and he hits the cone. Aaron Hale, this is huge. The number 33 of Aaron Hale's down pit road. This is huge. Aaron Hale trying to get himself back into this championship race as he comes down pit road. Like I said, it's around a 2-second difference between them fresh tires and them old tires. So let's see what Aaron Hale can do with new tires on the car. And Elliott Henderson and Daniel Buttafuoco comes on pit road as well. Gets really loose. Not sure if he was under the speed limit coming into pit road there. Elliott Henderson going to try to take the race lead back from JD Laird. Interesting to see where Aaron Hale might come out in all of this, as he's coming to pit road a lap before Elliott Henderson. Interesting to see where these guys come out. JD Laird, he's going to dip down pit road in the number 23. All these guys came down pit road right at the same time, like I was saying earlier. Tires are so huge here. Once one guy comes down, they're all going to come down pit road. Elliott Henderson with the good pit stop at that number 37. We'll see if he's clear of black flags. Same thing with Daniel Buttafuoco in the number 13. And here comes Aaron Hale coming off turn 2. Let's see how big of a difference them tires made. Aaron Hale is around 9 seconds back of Elliott Henderson. So I think that 1 lap difference didn't really make too much of a difference for him. As Elliott Henderson's coming back around, looking to see if he might be able to snag the lead away from JD Laird, as JD Laird is still on the pit access road. And Elliott Henderson is going to pass him on the high side, it looks like. And he will. JD Laird is going to fall back to second. And that strategy for Elliott Henderson is going to put him back in the race lead. JD Laird is around a half a second back of Elliott Henderson after pit stops. We have 45 laps to go here at Homestead, Miami. And a bit of strategy has put Elliott Henderson back in the lead in the championship hunt and in the race. Daniel's around 6 seconds back of these guys, and Aaron Hale is 9 seconds back of these guys. And looking to see if JD can maybe do what he did on that last run and close the distance. These guys don't have to pit again. We'll see if they can keep it green and keep it clean the rest of the way. JD Laird trying to drive the 37 back down and take the lead back and get himself a championship in that number 23. No, Elliott Henderson wants to win this race bad. He wants to get himself a championship. Especially from the likes of JD Laird, who's been so strong all season long. Elliott Henderson crosses the line. JD right behind him. JD running around once again a 10th of a lap quicker than Elliott Henderson. Daniel is around 2/10 slower than these guys, and Aaron Hale is almost a half second off of these guys. Might have been driving really hard on those first couple laps on these new tires. JD Laird really drives hard into turn 3. Backed off hard in the middle of the corner. And Elliott Henderson's going to gap him a little bit off the corner. Great lap that last time by for JD Laird, as he was almost 3/10 quicker than the race leader, Elliott Henderson. Ran the quickest lap of the race, actually, that last time by was JD Laird. Ran the quickest lap of the race by a whole 10th. As he's really putting the pressure on Elliott Henderson. He's going to dive low in 3 and 4. Going to try to clear him in the middle. And he will. Elliott Henderson going to have a little bit of a run off the corner. Interesting to see if he's going to cross over. And he will. He looks like he might dive it into turns 1 and 2. And he's going to dive it in there hard. Haven't seen Elliott Henderson do that all day. And he flexes his muscles a little bit. And he's going to try to come up in front of him off the corner, but he wasn't quite clear. And this might be the battle for the championship. The pass for the win. As Elliott Henderson tries to hold off JD Laird, and he does for now. Puts a half car length between himself and the 23. JD gets a great run off the corner. And he's going to be able to dive inside, and he's going to clear him heading into turn 1. Looks like he's going to cut down. Looks like Elliott Henderson's going to cut down behind him and try to get the run off and maybe use Eric Kepf as a pick. Oh, and it's going to be 3 wide. Last time Elliott Henderson made a 3 wide pass, he led for almost 30 laps. And he puts the pressure on JD Laird, not giving up the race lead. Trying to force JD Laird into a mistake.
He's going to dive it in there and try to clear him into turn 1. Elliot Henderson is definitely trying to get the bag here. The number 37 cuts up in front of the 23, and he takes the lead back. This is a great battle for the lead and for the championship. Daniel isn't catching up to these guys very much. He's 6.5 seconds back. He's been roughly around 6.5 to 7 seconds back of these guys throughout this run. Aaron Hale, our third championship contender, is 10 seconds back right now of our race leader, Elliot Henderson. He's consistently running slower laps than the race leaders, as Daniel is consistently running slightly quicker laps than the race leaders. But like I said, he's 6.5 seconds back. Not sure if he can cut down that gap in the amount of time that we have. Elliot Henderson has around a 2-car length advantage on JD Laird as they're approaching the lap car of Matt Daniels and the number 5 Goodwrench machine. Wish I can do a Mr. Krabs impression right about now. Elliot Henderson is around a 1/2 second lead as he begins to gap JD Laird a little bit. Not sure if JD Laird might be saving his tires for the end of this run. Or maybe he scorched them a little bit battling Elliot Henderson there as they were crossing over. Check the speeds at the line. Elliot Henderson running 0.05, 1/2 tenth quicker than JD Laird. And then once again, Daniel Buttafuoco, a 10th quicker than these guys. And Aaron Hale begins to pick up his pace as he's a little quicker than the leaders as well now. Aaron Hale needing a caution really to get himself back into the championship hunt here, as we have 35 laps to go here in Homestead. No more pit stops for these guys. Aaron Hale begging for debris to fall on the racetrack to get that caution and get himself back in the championship battle. Because if not, this is going to be Elliott versus JD for this championship. And he's hoping that there's either a caution or that these guys take each other out battling so hard. But Elliott continues to gap the number 23. Still early on in this run, as these guys have around 11 to 12 laps on their tires. So still very early on in this run. JD might be backing off for now and trying to save his tires for the very end of this run. As y'all remembered on that last run, Elliot Henderson led most of the run as JD was just hanging in right behind him. And then at the very end of the run was able to make that pass. But at the same time, Elliott wasn't too aggressive with them. As you saw right there with them crossing over, Elliot Henderson's going to get a lot more aggressive if JD Laird drives up on him this time. And I don't think he's going to play as nice as he did before. Check the speeds at the line as JD Laird caught up around 1/10.5 that last time by, as he's a little bit less than a 1/2 second back now of the 37 of Elliot Henderson. Daniel continues to close in on these guys, a 10.5 a lap, as he's 6 seconds back now of our race leader, Elliot Henderson. But like I said, I just don't think he's going to have enough time to close that gap. Elliot Henderson maintaining that 2 to 3 car length gap right now between himself and the number 23 of JD Laird. As JD was a couple of hundredths quicker that last time by, but not by much. Alexander Russell not putting any pressure right now on Aaron Hale, so this is currently the closest battle on the racetrack. As you get an onboard view of our second place driver, JD Laird, who continues to put the pressure on Elliot Henderson and the number 37, as we have around 30 laps left in the race for the championship. Elliot Henderson looking to hold on to this. Both these guys have looked very strong all day. JD Laird looked extremely strong. Looked like the superior car in the first half of this race. Elliot Henderson, though, has found speed throughout the race, just figuring out the track a little bit more. And here in the second half of this race has looked like the superior car. But at the end of these runs, at least on that last run, JD Laird was definitely quicker than Elliot Henderson. So we could be in store for a great finish for VSCRA, the series finale, possibly the last race ever of this series. And the championship race, and it's going to be set up to be a great finish for the championship. JD Laird versus Elliot Henderson. That gap is around 3 to 4 car lengths right now. Elliot Henderson has gapped him just a little bit the last few laps. But they've been kind of switching off every lap on who's quicker. Very good race between these guys. Once again, this is the closest battle on the racetrack. Daniel has slowed down a little bit. He's still around 6 seconds back of our race leaders. Hasn't really caught up at all since the last time I mentioned him. As we check the speeds at the line, JD Laird running around a half a tenth quicker than Elliot Henderson. And then Daniel ran around a tenth quicker than our race leader, Elliot Henderson, that last time by. And then Aaron Hale is around 2/10 slower than our race leader, Elliot Henderson. Aaron Hale, once again, just really hoping for a caution to get himself back in the race, back into the championship hunt. As we have less than 30 laps to go here in Homestead, Miami. JD Laird's beginning to drive him down a little bit as he catches up almost 2/10 that last time by. JD Laird to that number 23. Beginning to drive back on the 37. Like I said, last run, the 23 drove up to the 37 and got past him at the end of the run. But I don't think Elliot Henderson's going to play so nice this time by. We saw what Elliot Henderson was capable of when they were crossing over a few laps ago. He's really able to make that car stick down the bottom if he really wants to. But we haven't really seen him do it. Number 23 is right behind the 37. Number 23 hates that dirty air because every time it seems like he drives up to him, he's not able to get in that car length gap. He has to really, the most of his moves have came from setting him up on the front stretch on the exit of the corner, like he's doing right now. The number 23 of JD Laird, once again setting him up on the front stretch, getting that run on the inside. He's going to try to clear him into turns 1 and 2. As we have another battle for the lead on our hands. Elliot Henderson going to get a good run off turn 2. And he's going to stay right there at his quarter panel. 23 of JD Laird's going to try to clear him going into turns 3. And he's going to clear him by around a car length. Drove it in there really hard. And Elliot Henderson's going to try to get a big run off the corner and maybe try to cross him. Oh, JD sideways off of 4. A great save from JD, and Elliot Henderson jumps to his high side and retakes the lead. JD is driving that 23 hard, and he's gonna almost get into his door. And Aaron Hale must be loving this. Like I said, the only way Aaron Hale gets himself back into this race is if a caution or if these guys just take each other out. If these guys take each other out, Aaron Hale wins by default. JD Laird has taken the lead back from Elliot Henderson, but he seems very loose and just uncomfortable off of turn 4 as he was really slow off turn 3 and 4, and Elliot Henderson might clear him almost coming into turns 1 and 2. JD Laird is really quick, a lot faster than Elliot Henderson right now most parts of the track, but turn 4 he is ungodly slow, and then coming off of turn 2, same thing that time of bye. I'm wondering if JD Laird might have used up the tires driving him back down because he is very loose right now in that 23. As he lost the lead once again to Elliot. Elliot able to make that pounce, and you're going to watch the replay here. Elliot Henderson able to pounce And it looked like 23's got a little loose. Elliot Henderson came up into his lane a little bit, maybe messing with his air just a little bit. And able to get past him and take the lead back. And JD Laird's going to have to start all over, as once again he's around a half second back of Elliot Henderson. And he's going to have to drive him back down once again in the number 23. We're going to check the speeds of the line as they come off of turn 4. JD Laird's still very loose off of turn 4. That car is extremely loose off turn 4, as he was a 10th slower than Elliot Henderson that time by. Elliot Henderson began to put a little bit of a gap between himself and the 23. 23 just very, very loose off these corners. Having to let off the gas a lot more than he'd want to off these corners and really destroying his straightaway speed. As I physically saw Elliot Henderson put a little bit more of a gap on him on the backstretch right there. Elliot Henderson's gapping this 23 as he is struggling on them old tires. As we have 20 laps to go. Elliot Henderson and JD Laird running around the same lap time that time by. JD Laird only running a 100th quicker that last time by. And Daniel Buttafuoco once again still cutting at that lead, around 5 seconds back now of our race leaders. Really cutting at that lead, but running out of time as there's only 20 laps to go here in Homestead Miami Speedway. Aaron Hale, 12 seconds back of the race leaders. Not a threat right now for the championship or the race. JD Laird, once again, a couple hundredths quicker than Elliot Henderson, but not much quicker. He's going to need to cut that lead a little. He's going to need to be a little quicker than that if he wants to take the lead back. But I'm just watching him in that 23, and he's just so loose off of these corners. .37 of Elliot Henderson has a little bit over a half a second gap on the 23 right now. Looking very strong in that Kligerman Sport Machine. He was around a 10th quicker than second place JD Laird that last time by. He can smell a championship as we're almost 15 laps to go. Approaching the end of this thing. JD Laird can see that championship just slipping away as he is driving that 23 car so hard through these corners, just trying to get to the 37's bumper. That last time by, they ran almost the exact same lap time, as Elliot Henderson was only 3 thousandths quicker that last time by, and Daniel was around a 10th slower than these guys actually last time by. JD looking to close the gap. 17 laps to go here in Homestead. Elliot Henderson looking to get the championship and the race win. And the Kligerman Sport Machine on Firecracker 400 prelim night. Very big for his team that he is part of, being Kligerman Sport. Very important for him to get this championship tonight. As he continues to gap the number 23 of JD Laird, who's just really struggling in that Xerox Chevrolet Camaro, just really having a tough go. As he looked so strong driving down that 37, then right when he got to and made the pass, his tires are just gone, it seems like. And he has to hope that Elliot Henderson maybe has a similar issue, or maybe gets into the wall, gets a little loose, messes up a corner. Because one messed up corner and JD's right back on his bumper. And if JD has that draft and can sniff the lead, he just might be able to muscle himself a championship in that number 23. We now have 14 laps to go in Homestead. Elliot Henderson once again a little bit quicker than JD the last time by, only a couple hundredths quicker. He's only a couple laps away from a championship. Aaron Hale continues to fall farther back in the 4th position. Now he's 14 seconds back of our race leader. And Daniel Budafuco has lost a half a second to these leaders last time I mentioned him. Elliott versus JD for the race win and the championship, unless we get a caution late. Not really missing anything right now on the racetrack. Alexander Russell actually getting into the wall a little bit in the back, but he looks okay. No direct pressure from behind as Eric Kepf is 3 laps down behind him. Aaron Hale got no one really around him right now. Matt Daniels a lap down in 6th place. He's been struggling a lot in this race. And JD just really working hard to try to close that gap with the 37. Check the speeds at the line this time by. Elliott Henderson with a 35.876 and JD Laird running around 300ths quicker that last time by, which is good and dandy and everything, but you're going to need to go a little quicker than that if you want to win the championship, JD. Needs to pick up the pace just a little bit. He needs to do what he was doing earlier and start chipping away a 10th lap. If he can do that, there's no doubt that he can put up a fight for this championship, but he is almost a second back now of Elliott Henderson. Elliott Henderson in the number 37 can smell a championship as he's 11 laps away from possibly a championship here in VSCRA, the series finale, VSCRA, the final race of the series. Elliott Henderson drives it into 3 and 4. Can't be looking in your rear view now if you're Elliott Henderson. You have a good gap right here. Just need to keep your car going straight and don't make any mistakes. Like I said, do not be looking in that rear view mirror. JD Laird caught up around a 10th that last time by. Maybe he was listening to me up in the booth. He caught up a 10th that last time. As we have 10 laps to go in the race and in the championship. JD Laird is around a car length away from the white line on the bottom. JD Laird with a slightly higher lane in the turn. JD Laird catching up a half a 10th that last time by. Continues to chip away at that race lead as we have now 9 laps to go. He's a little less than half a second back of our race leader. JD Laird is driving him down. He's really trying to get this championship away from the 37. He's trying to take it away late. As he's catching him a little bit more that last time by. Let's check the speeds at the line. JD Laird was almost 2 tenths faster than Elliott Henderson that last time by. JD Laird is now almost a car length and a half back of Elliott Henderson. He's closing in quick, and we have a championship battle on our hands with only 8 laps to go here in Homestead. JD is putting the pressure on the number 37. Elliott Henderson going to get a good run off the corner and be able to gap him down the front stretch. That time by, JD Laird only around a half a 10th quicker than Elliott Henderson, as he's around 2 car lengths back coming into turn 1. JD Laird looking a little loose off turn 2. Elliott Henderson gets a great run off the corner, and he's almost 3 or 4 car lengths ahead coming into turns 3 and 4. JD Laird really has been struggling with this dirty air when he gets behind Elliott Henderson. Been struggling with the handling on that race car all day long. That's why he's so desperate to get into the lead, get to the championship, get to that clean air. It's when JD Laird has gotten to that clean air, and Elliott Henderson, and he's been able to put a little bit of a gap between Elliott Henderson, he's been able to just sail off. He's been struggling hard in that dirty air. Coming to 5 laps to go this time by. 5 laps to go in the championship. JD Laird's looking very loose off the corner, saving it like almost halfway down the front stretch there. Really working that car hard as he can smell a championship. He really wants to get to Elliott Henderson and get past him. Just a couple car lengths back, heading into turns 3 and 4. Car length and a half back. JD Laird closing through the middle of the corner. A little loose off exit. Not too bad that time around. As he closes in almost a half a tenth that last time by. Little bit of a higher lane through 1 and 2. The 23 takes. As we have 4 laps to go in Homestead. JD might be setting himself up for a move here. Looking to mellow out a little bit. Maybe try to drive up and make that move on Elliott Henderson right at the right time where Elliott Henderson can't cross over on him. As we have 3 laps to go. Elliott Henderson around a tenth and a half quicker that last time by. JD Laird can't afford to give up any more time. Elliott Henderson has around a 4 car length lead heading into turns 3 and 4. JD Laird gets into the corner hard. Catches up a couple of car lengths. Let's see how the exit goes for him. Clean exit for the 23. But the 37 gaps him a little bit off the corner. JD Laird a little bit quicker that last time by. But we only have 2 laps to go. Elliott Henderson only a lap and a half away now from a championship. JD Laird shadowing his every lap. And JD Laird is now around 2 tenths back coming into 3 and 4. And he rips it into the corner. And he's going to hit him in the quarter panel and almost spins himself out. Elliott Henderson able to hold him off. White flag is in the air. Almost a wreck for the lead, and Aaron Hale, I bet, is really disappointed about that because that was almost both these guys almost spun around for the lead and the championship there. As Elliott Henderson now has around a second lead on JD Laird after that almost travesty. Elliott Henderson, 1 corner away from a championship. On Firecracker 400 night, the Kligerman Sport guy is going to get it done. Elliott Henderson is the VSCRA, the VSCRA champion and the race winner in Homestead. Great race from Elliott. I know there's some happy people in the chat. Elliott Henderson is your champion. Possibly the last season of VSCRA or VSCRA. It's been a pleasure to host the races of VSCRA here on Split Second Broadcasting here at the end of the season. Great race from Elliott Henderson, a great performance, a great show from him and JD Laird. Elliott Henderson's gonna drive down to the start finish line and probably burn the house down, as he is your champion and race winner here tonight, here in Homestead, on a very important night for Kligerman Sport. That was just a great race from JD and Elliott. They raced their asses off out there. I was so impressed by those two. Every single lap, these guys were back and forth. I had no idea who was going to win that race, who was going to win the championship. And I knew that JD was going to drive it in hard and really try to rough up the 37 to get that victory, because it's really hard to complete the pass here, as you guys have seen throughout this broadcast. Really hard to complete that pass. Even when you complete that pass, you're really slow off the corner, and the other driver gets that run off and is able to cross over on the straightaway And JD Laird really struggled on completing that pass on the 37. Both these cars. And it looks like we're going to try to get an interview. And we are going to get an interview actually from our race winner and our champion, Elliot Henderson, your VSCRA Viscera Series champion and race winner in Homestead. Great race, Elliot.
Thanks. I didn't know that we were going to have speed tonight after watching JD drive out to a 7-second lead. I thought he had us all basically beat at that point, but pit strategy and tires matter. And I mean, he's still pit a lap later than us, but I generally thought that what I did was going to work out because the clean air seemed to work at the second part of on the second run. So, wow. Kudos to JD because that was literally some of the most fun I've had racing. I'm going to go on a little bit of a spiel here since I think JD's up there to get interviewed, but real quick, like this league is falling apart essentially with lack of drivers. But fortunately, the guys that have stuck around between me, JD, Daniel Botafuco came in, Aaron Hale, Eric Kep, Alexander Russell, and some of these guys that have jumped up to run have just made this so much fun the last few weeks, despite the small car counts. And JD has especially made this a ton of fun. It was really fun to run him one-on-one all night. The complete lack of cautions besides the stage caution makes it a ton of fun because you get to see the differing strategies and see how people get to race over that long run. So it's all about saving tires and seeing what you can do. But I thank everybody that made this league possible. Unfortunately, this will probably be the last time we run a race sanctioned under VSCRA, just due to the car counts. But thank you, Kyle. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you guys that actually come out, make this race possible. And despite the small car counts, I swear this is some of the most fun racing that I've had, if not at least the most competitive. I mean, JD and I were going side by side. I'm glad between 7 drivers we were at least able to put on a show for the championship, and I appreciate JD keeping it as clean as possible, even with a little bit of the bump and run there. I don't know if he purposefully sent it a little bit harder or I hope he doesn't think that I was not running the corner as fast as I could. I was waiting to get on the throttle at all of my points to make sure I can get a good enough run off. But he even said that was like the only shot he really had until the last lap because I bobbled off turn 2 and he had a hell of a run going into the corner. But that is what it is. And wow, that is fun is exactly what it is. Sucks to see JD come up second. Sucks to see Aaron end up 4th and 3rd in the points, but it was a really fun season with those guys, and glad to finish it out with a win in the championship at the end of it.
Yeah, you ran a great race, Elliot, but you were mentioning the clean air. I felt like the clean air was really the big thing all race, as you mentioned on JD having his huge lead on 7 seconds. JD seemed to kept on coming back on your bumper, but every time he got into that dirty air, it just seemed to really struggle with this handling and couldn't complete that pass. And you made a lot of great moves. How did you feel going into those 3 wide moves you made on the backstretch? You made 2 of them that were just great.
I mean, I knew that clean air was kind of king after he drove out, and then how Charlotte went and everything. So I didn't want to be that aggressive, but I can't sit there and push Daniel and hope that he gets around JD because with my luck, Daniel's just going to underrun the corner. JD's going to go around the outside, and I'm going to be stuck in 3rd, and I'm never going to have a shot at it. So I had to do that to try to get up towards the front and try to clear JD. It worked. I'm not sure if he cut me the break in 3 and 4 when I did it initially or what they did. I think he was going to just sit there and let me use up my stuff. And eventually I did. Right before pit stops, he was able to get back around me. But, that second run, I knew if I could undercut him, come out in front of him, save my stuff for the first 3 or 4 laps, maybe come out even with him on tires, that we'd have a shot at it. And, I worked on using up the rears a lot more than the fronts on the second run, and it worked out, or on the last run, that is, and it worked out.
Well, that was an amazing finish, an amazing race. You two put on a show for the championship. I had no idea who was going to come out with that. Anything else you'd like to say? Anybody else you'd like to give a shout out to?
Shout
This
out to Timmy.
champion?
Timmy for the Kligerman Esport or Kligerman Sport paint that's on this car. I've only worn it twice, but it feels good to end this league and end this paint scheme on a good note. I don't know when it'll run again. Shout out to JD, shout out to Daniel, Aaron, Alex, Matt Daniels, Eric Kep, these guys that show up every week and just continue to race despite the car counts. It's genuinely appreciated. And like I said, these are, despite a 7-car count, I think the broadcast probably got some decent excitement out of it, something that you may not get from larger fields, even though it looked pretty dim at the beginning. So I think the league structure puts on really good racing. We just, I don't know what it is about trying to get people in it. Maybe Wednesday nights are just bad, but this was a ton of fun. And then shout out to you guys for putting on the broadcast. I know, again, 7-car count, there's not much to look at. It's probably not a ton of fun, and you're up here doing it alone, but you guys do a phenomenal job. I can't wait to go back and watch the battles that we had and watch this race back, because I know from the driver's seat it was a ton of fun. I'm sure from the broadcast booth, you guys were definitely biting your fingernails and seeing what was going to happen.
Yeah, the beginning of that run was insane with all the crossovers. I was just kind of waiting for y'all to wreck each other so Aaron Hale can be the champion already.
I thought for sure that that might end up happening. We were definitely not really giving each other an inch, but you can't. You need that clean air. So, respect to JD for running as clean as he did. He cut me brakes, and I think we both ran each other about as clean as we would want to. So it was, again, just I keep using the word fun, but man, that was one of the most fun races I've ever been a part of.
Well, thank you, Elliot, for talking to us, and congrats that on that championship. And go celebrate, man. You deserve it. Great season, and excited to see you possibly next week in the booth with me, and then of course in Great Lakes. I think you'll be racing tomorrow night. Will you be racing tomorrow night in the Daytona Road Course?
Yeah, we're gonna run part of it because we're running Road to Pro. So we're gonna go get some last place points basically to ensure that we're not too far out of it because we're still running for that championship. But we'll put on hopefully a little bit of a show for where we're running, and probably first pit stop will come off and just alt F4 on out and get over to Road to Pro. But yeah, looking forward to broadcasting with you on Tuesday. That was a ton of fun last week, and looking forward to the Roval, the Daytona Road Course there with the trucks. Stout field, stout group of guys, and I know you and I enjoy the booth, so we'll make some fun out of it.
Trucks are always fun. Daytona Road Course is always fun. And the Great Lakes so far has been a blast. Once again, I appreciate you talking to us, Elliot. Go celebrate that championship, man.
Thanks, guys.
That was Elliot Henderson, your champion. Great race from him. And now we're going to speak to our runner up, JD Laird, who was very dominant in that first half of the race, but it seemed like clean air was king out there, JD. What was the difference maker for you there at the end of that run?
Realistically, a driver that didn't mess up. I have zero idea what happened. I popped the wall in the middle of the front straightaway for no reason, and it right front slightly came up, and I knew it was going to be an uphill battle from there. I was listening to Elliot's interview, and he definitely proved the point, as well as I did in the first stage. Clean air was absolutely king. Um, I just didn't have it, and I pushed too hard and for no reason, and basically threw it. So it hats off to Elliot. He was sitting in the catbird seat. He was waiting for me to mess up, and well, lo and behold, I did.
You ran a great race, JD. That was some epic battles at the end of that race. You were really driving. You drove up on him multiple times, and every time you got to him, it was just so hard to really complete that pass. The beginning of that run, a lot of excitement from those crossover battles. But what was going through your mind on that coming into turns 3 and 4 with 2 to go? You two got into it a little bit there. What happened there?
Um, that was highly not my intent to do that. I don't know if he backed the corner up or what, but I know I charged in, and I knew as soon as I hit him, I just hit the park job on the brakes and made sure that to not absolutely kill him, because I mean, it's a 7-car race with 3 guys going for a championship. We don't need to pull stupid stunts like that. That was, like I said, that was not my intent, and I let him gather it up and accepted defeat at that point. But it is what it is. I mean, going back, should I have just full throttled him because my ego couldn't handle it? Absolutely. But we dueled it out for like 90 laps trying to go for it. Like he put me he put me on my toes that first run because he got the clean air because I got hung up upside of Daniel, and just sat there and rode. And then Thought I had the tire advantage, but then I killed the tire advantage with the 1 lap extra by knocking the wall down. But hats off to him. He drove better than I did.
It's been a great race, JD. We'll look to see from you in the future. Very disappointing to see VSCRA go down, but you definitely were the dominant driver of the season. Really looking at the stats, definitely the most consistent driver on the season, and I felt like you were the stronger car out there tonight. Just like you said, clean air was king, and Elliot Henderson, I feel like making that 3 wide move with you and Daniel was the difference in the race and really put him in a prime position to get the victory.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, the stats are a little inflated because the car count was dwindling when I started to get my feet wet. But the first few races of the season, I haven't really cared about sim racing that much. So Daytona kicks in. Gotta put yourself in a box and hopefully make it out. California and Atlanta, starting to get my feet wet more and more. And then I started qualifying. Figured I was confident enough to not dump it in front of the field. And yeah, I was. It would have been nice to say that I was like stats wise the best, but I know that the stats are inflated because the car count got low. But yeah, I wish the championship would make those stats worth it. But like I've said a couple of times before, the better driver tonight won. He did not mess up. I did multiple times just by just having a brain lapse. It is what it is.
Well, definitely a great result. I mean, great race from you, JD, and definitely not the result you wanted, but a lot of fun out there in the booth and looked like a lot of fun on the racetrack. And congrats on at least getting second in the points as you were able to beat out Aaron Hale and have a good rest of your night, JD.
Yeah, it's gonna sting a little bit. And by the way, I've been yelling at Mr. Buttafuoco. He's finally figured out that there's a post race interview that we have to do. So he's now corralled further up. Um, but yeah, at least I was able to let the Xerox by Valvoline, Connecticut Realty Trust, JDR Graphics, Anderson Surfboards, Aquatech Glassing, Langford Farms, Spirit by Rad. Yes, I'm plugging all these right now because why not? Um, I gave them a run. It wasn't good enough. I appreciate the support. I know I was at a race last weekend and I had people hoping that I was going to pull this through, and ultimately I let them down. But in the end, it's just a video game. We're racing for pixelated hardware, and I don't have a certificate to print out, which is totally fine. Um, but ultimately, you got to give a shout out to Elliot Henderson for putting VSCRA on. I know last year with my league, it was really like I had the same result. So ultimately, like I understand how tough it is as an admin and a league owner to constantly do these races with the dwindling car count. So I got to give him the utmost shout out for giving us a place to race on his own dime. So kudos to him. Kudos to you guys for sticking it out. Everybody that stuck it out for the rest of the season. Um, hopefully, I find somewhere else to race, but I'm probably gonna take my car and probably burn it. I don't want any remembrance of this car anymore. But it's still pretty. So it I really don't know what else I got. It is what it is. Like I would be more I'd be more vocal, more wordly, but I'm a little deflated. But like I said, kudos to Elliot, deserving champion. He didn't mess up. I did. Um, he put on the show. He put up the league. So kudos to him. And yeah, hopefully I get a chance to make this up at some point. Don't know what league that'll be, but hopefully I get a chance to make it up.
Well, a lot of speed from JD. Really fast driver here, JD Laird. Appreciate you talking to us. Hoping to see you in the future, maybe here on Split Second Broadcasting in another league or Great Lakes Truck or Cup Series or anything in the future. You always have a lot of speed, and it was great watching you race out there today.
I appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Yep, great talking to you, JD. as it sounds like we're going to try to get Daniel Budafuco here in the booth with us. All right, and here we are with Daniel Budafuco. Daniel, great race from you out there, man. I know you're fairly new to the iRacing service. How are you liking iRacing so far?
iRacing's been a lot of fun. The challenge that you get from this sim is just insane. It's definitely beat me up quite a bit, especially starting off. But I met a lot of great guys. A lot of great people who I consider friends, and have been helping me and been very supportive and been giving me great advice throughout this whole experience and this whole journey. And it's just been really fun. Today, I don't feel like it was my best performance. I was struggling so much trying to get to grips with Homestead, but the take home third was really nice. I think just trying to keep it clean there and hit the wall at the end. I was not too smart. I was looking at the gaps between the two leaders and ended up in the turn four wall. So that was pretty dumb. But I mean, overall, not a bad performance. Just still a lot of things I need to work on and just overall improve. But overall, I had a lot of fun.
You looked very strong on that last run. We're catching up to the leaders. Very impressive start just for starting out on iRacing. I've raced with you in a couple of these official races, and you blow me out of the water already. And you have a lot of speed just for starting out here on iRacing. What can we see from you in the future, possibly here on the service? Maybe a run at Road to Pro next year or something along those lines.
Man, I can't tell you how many people have been telling me to go for Road to Pro next year, bro. It's that's crazy.
You have a lot of speed. You have a lot of
Thank you.
just pure
Yeah,
speed. I remember you at Michigan a couple of weeks ago in
right.
this series, and I think you just got the service they were saying, and you were just so much quicker than everybody else.
Yeah, that race was really good for us. I think mainly because Michigan, the cars are looser, and I typically like looser cars. Here, the Homestead set was very tight, and I'm not very good at tight sets. So really, turn one and two, I was very weak, but I could kind of get the hang of turn three and four pretty good. Those two corners, I don't know. I mean, for me at least, they're very, very different in my opinion. But um, yeah, I mean, still had good pace there at the end. I think, obviously the track ripped up quite a bit, so I think at the field started to even out a little bit. And I was still trying to learn the track as I went, but um, yeah, I appreciate the compliment. I mean, I'm really trying to get good on here, trying to work hard to be one of the top guys, hopefully. Still trying to work on getting my I rating up and just improve my overall pace because I still think it's just at this point, JD's been telling me, it's just minor tweaks that I need to improve on and work on because I've still got to iron out the tire wear, saving tires. That's really what I've got to work on still. And pace as well, and just overall comfort. But that'll come with more experience. And I got to say, I'm very hard on myself because I really want to become. Yeah, whenever I do something, I want to be the best at what I do. Um, Same old when I'm racing on heat. Um, but it's going to take time. I need to be patient with myself. And a good run like here tonight, finishing off the season is really good. And hopefully there'll be another season where I can try to work hard and hopefully maybe go for a championship, maybe. But um, that's a very long answer. I apologize. But overall, I'm just happy to run. Wish JD could have won the championship there, but still a great job from Henderson on a really good run. And yeah, hopefully that this will be some good momentum boost and try to take it every race. Um, take it step by step, just try to keep going at it, and maybe sometime in the future, maybe sometime I'll give Road to Pro a try. But that'll be quite a while from now. I don't think I'm quite to that skill yet, but we'll see.
Well, impressive run out there, Daniel. It was great talking to you. We hope to see you in the future here on Split Second Broadcasting. Maybe take an interest in our Great Lakes series and the Great Lakes Trucks and Cup running Tuesdays and Thursday nights. A lot of great racers over in there. Learn a lot over there. But it was great seeing you race out there tonight. A lot of fun, and look to see more of you in the future on the iRacing service.
Appreciate it, man. Had a lot of fun, and yeah, hopefully I get to be on your guys' stream more, and hopefully have more good things to come. I think we'll be all right. Thank you, man.
Yeah, of course. Great talking to you.
Thank you.
Have a great rest of your night, man.
Yep.
And that will do it for tonight. And that will do it for VSCRA, VSCRA, as that was the last broadcast of this series. We will see you again tomorrow at 8 o'clock Eastern Time for the Great Lakes Cup Series at the Daytona Road Course. That'll be a lot of fun. I'll be joined here in the booth with, I think I'm going to be with Gavin Fitzgerald tomorrow here in the booth. And then we'll have Alex Kolonics on pit road, hopefully. And it'll be a lot of fun tomorrow. The Great Lakes guys always put on a show. We will see you tomorrow. Have a great night, everybody. And once again, congrats to Elliot Henderson.